ascend, to the spiritual level. So these things had to be purged and manifest so that we could deal with them and heal. See, because we must be healed in order to access, this realm. That is the purpose of purgatory, to cleanse and discard the astral body so that we may be free to think with lucidity and logic. There are times when we even transcend the mind. When a soldier goes forth to battle, very often he feels strongly the righteousness of his cause and is quite prepared to sacrifice his life. A mother will often sacrifice her life for the child because she rises to the spiritual level and is living a life of utter selflessness. See? Because the physical is all about the individual. See? But when you start thinking on a spiritual level, it's about the whole. See? So selflessness, is a very big prerequisite in order to access that area. In the course of evolution, there comes into every life a moment when the individual has an opportunity of self-sacrifice. It's part of our spiritual development, and if we recognize that moment and accept it willingly, we make great spiritual progress. Remember when I talked about the 12 signs of the zodiac? It represents the principles of righteousness. The Capricorn, that Saturn energy, that was the energy of sacrifice. That was the energy of humbleness. See, so in other words, it represents Saturn sacrificing his rule, his royal rule, so that we can come back and heal the world as we are doing at this time. It says, therefore you see that consciousness in evolution is gradually withdrawing us from these lower bodies and forcing us upward. The savage is living in the physical world and largely in his emotions. He is full of destruction, hatred, anger, and evil. But as he progresses in evolution, he begins to leave these qualities behind and lives a life of spirituality, of selflessness. From that point, he moves still further on into the world of love, oneness, and unity. This process of spiritual progress is mirrored in the zodiac. In The Secret Doctrine, Madame Blavatsky points out that the ascent of the soul cannot be divorced from the zodiac. We have a hint of this in mythology in the 12 labors of Hercules, which represents the way we go around the zodiac. Much mythology has great truth in it, but it is hidden and cryptic. See, and this is what we are uncovering or exposing to at this time. I put my name up here because I came up with a new way to spell that, and I wanted to symbolize that's a Sistar Myra, but the SI represents Sirius, Star, and I've been told my name, MY, represents the mysteries of Ra. Okay? And Ra is actually, was the sun god. Okay? So in actuality, what it's saying is that illuminating, So the Sirius star system mysteries illumined. Okay? That's what I broke my name down to symbolize. And I believe it, so that makes it real. Okay. So it says, as you progress, okay, here we go, let me see. We are all familiar with the idea of vibration. Because remember, we're talking energy. Remember, I've told you throughout my lecture series, when we talk about gods, when we talk about deities, we're only talking about energies. We're only talking about what the characteristics of the energies. That's how our ancestors broke them down, just to give characteristics to the vast energy information. That in order to understand it, they had to break it down into characteristics. And these characteristics took on the forms of deities and gods. That's how we began worshiping deities and gods, but it's actually only representing the energy. And they accessed this information through nature. Nature is the key. Nature is how you come to the understanding of what the energies are doing. Okay? So always keep your eye on nature. That is what's going to give you an idea of what's really going on a spiritual level. Okay? It says we are all familiar with the idea of vibration. It is a very unscientific term, but expresses what we mean. We will notice in the most elementary forms of life there is an instinctive, unthinking action. A baby at that stage is instinctive. It looks out but does not understand. It perceives as through a mirror. When you respond to the moon, you are at the instinctual level. As you go through life, you develop more desire, more aggressiveness, more fightingness for yourself. This is the stage of the savage, the stage of the animal. Animals generally come under Mars. As you proceed through life, all life is a great school. You are learning certain lessons. You begin to be more careful, more cautious, more thinking, and more reasoning. You evolve out of the animal kingdom into the human. Then as you progress through sheer logic and reason, you reach the stage where you begin to see what is behind reason. You approach the stage where you are finding the purpose of your godhood. Now that is I put the godhood, but it said God here, but we know when we're talking about God, we're talking about us, okay? And us finding our godhood at this time, okay? This is why the intellectuals of the world are always baffled by problems. The learned men in the universities are all confronted with insuperable difficulties. And why? Because they believe in only what they can feel, taste, touch, smell, handle, and measure. So from the intellectual, the individual begins to think less of self. He is more outgoing, more generous, more brotherly. After a time, he moves into the pure unselfishness of love. True love has no self in it, whatever. Much of what passes for love today is not love. From this loving oneness and unity, the individual moves into the world of spirit, the ego life, and the egoic life, and from there to the divine. And as your consciousness achieves a higher rate of vibration, you no longer respond to the lower vibrations of the planets, because the planets are the lower vibration. When we look at our chart, and we see where planets are falling at in our charts, that's only areas where we need extra teaching or guidance, That's only areas where we need that help come in this school, see. So, but we have all the energies in us, and where we don't see those planets, that's the areas that, we're probably tuned in with. We're probably, have accomplished what we need without the extra education, see. So it's the houses that really show the person. The planets are telling you the schooling of that person, what you're being guided to do, see. So that's why they're saying here that once we stop, as we continue to raise our vibration, we do not respond to the lower vibrations of the planets. That is why we gradually move from Mars to Saturn, and when you leave them behind, you begin to move to the higher, Jupiter, Venus, Uranus. It's like changing gears. This is why we're doing what we're doing all through history, because humanity is gradually improving. Now you have perhaps caught sight of the fact that we are just like radio receivers. We attune ourselves deliberately, perhaps unconsciously, to the higher planets. As we steadily elevate our consciousness ever higher, our new horoscope mirrors that improvement. That's something I haven't even talked about yet, because we're just talking about the basics of astrology. But we have also what you call a progress chart. What I showed you was a natal chart, what was happening at the time of your birth. But as I've told you, those transit planets circles and cause you to interact energy-wise and to grow, then you have what you call a progress chart that reflects that progress. So, today, it reflects more of what's going on or what's manifesting for you today. Your natal chart is what was happening at the time of birth. Where did I start from? And your progress chart tells you where you're at now. But of course, it's just so much information, I don't want to put you on overload. So that's the reason why I had not really mentioned that chart before. That is why I constantly repeat, your horoscope does not indicate the future. It reveals the past. Okay? You get that? Because we know that the past, because we know what that past will lead to, we can predict the future. Therefore, the first thing we need to study is planets in houses. It is most unfortunate that there is a lot of childishness in astrology today, even foolishness, and an utter incapacity to grasp this reality. Planets in the houses show the powers that are manifested in the lower self, the personality. Okay? As we move from life to life, we learn the lessons, we acquire virtues, we attain self-mastery, and this is mirrored by the planets in the houses. That is why the horoscope shows our progress. This progress on the path of evolution is revealed by 4 steps. Number 1, the strength of the planets in the houses, which already mentioned, if you have Jupiter or Venus in the 10th house, you will be socially advanced in life because you have earned that capacity. You have attuned yourself to that level. The planet's strength in the house shows how much you are getting that quality into the personality. But that is only a temporary phase. The second phase is to study the aspects. And this is when I taught you guys all about the trines, the sextiles, the squares, the oppositions. This is what they mean by the aspects, the distances between the planets. When you see 2 men walking down the street, arm in arm, you know that they are friends. If they are facing each other with their fists up, they are in a fight. When you see planets on the points of a cross, they are in a fight. And that fight is not only in the outer life, it is also in the inner life. It shows the battle that is going on between the ego and the personality. Okay, there is a war in our members. It is this battle that is inherent in human nature. It is inherent in our evolution. If you read the sacred books, you will perceive that they all mirror this fight. The main character is the soul. So the aspects that are manifesting in your horoscope show the battle that is going on within, which is not necessarily manifested outwardly. So if we were to study our progress chart, we would more see what is going on outwardly. But when we start studying, most people study their natal chart, so you're really looking at what's happening inside. That's what this is describing. It says, it is very striking how true aspects are. Many astrologers fail to see certain things because they are looking for outward events, whereas many of them are expressed internally. So the battle between the planets are shown by aspects, and is the fight between the ego and the personality. Number 3, this takes us to the third step, which is planets and signs. One of the most tragic concepts I can hold is that of the so-called intellectual who believe astrology is just a foolish superstition, whereas it really mirrors one of the most profound laws of nature. As you go through life and acquire these qualities, the soul progresses, and this is shown by the planets and signs. This is something that those who use sidereal astrology should know, but do not, because they do not understand the esoteric side of astrology. The most intense battle is that indicated by the adverse aspects of Mars to Saturn. Okay, so when you look in your chart and see how your Mars and Saturn are interacting with one another, you know, to understand that's the most intense battle that usually is going on. Whenever you see this in any chart, you may know that the individual has great frustration in his life. Mars is desire, and Saturn is obstruction, delay. That's when the brakes are put on. Therefore, when Mars is fighting Saturn, it's not an accidental happening, and the individual could not have been born at that time unless within him the same battle is raging. This frustration is usually reconciled when the individual comes to life where Mars is conjunct with Saturn. Such people are always they are making a valid attempt to dominate their desires. Okay, and let's see. I'm going to move on to where they're talking about the crosses. And finally, we come to the 3 crosses. There is far more meaning in your natal chart than you ever suspect. Those who have the sun in one of the mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces, are very adaptable, easy influenced. Their lives is usually one series of impacts. Why? As biology teaches, all the impacts of life are to arouse that which is within. Those who have a life in one of these signs have a great variety of experiences. These are the dual signs, and people born when the sun is in Gemini or Sagittarius especially usually have 2 jobs, they marry twice, they have twins, and the principle of duality runs throughout their lives. You see, the more impact, the better. After a series of the mutable cross, then you proceed to the cross of suffering and purging. I know you know where I'm going with this one, right? The fixed cross. If you study the people who are on the fixed cross, you will find that their lives for a long time are like an earthquake. There is a sudden eruption. And after it's all over, their life quietly settles down again. This is why Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius people, especially Scorpio, have a life of suffering and purging. They are being tested and purged and cleansed. We got a Scorpio attested to that back there.
That's right. That's right. Tested everything.
And then finally, they go on to the cardinal cross. Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, where they begin to be attuned with their godhood and begin to approach one of the stages of initiation. The three crosses are not the figment of an astrologer's imagination. They are deep and inherent principles in nature. Okay? And what did I say about nature? Okay, so this is just some information from the cardinal cross. You know, so it goes on to talk about the rays. It goes on to say that there are planets which have their exaltation and signs that show qualities being assimilated by the ego. So whenever you see Saturn in Libra, that's the quality of justice. Okay, that's it's being exalted. Whenever you see Saturn in the sign of Libra, it's being exalted. And we are in that generation right now that has their Saturn in Libra. A lot of us still have our Saturn in Libra. I know my Saturn is in Libra. Okay. Mars in Capricorn, that demonstrates the quality of control. Venus in Pisces represents compassion, and Jupiter in Cancer represents generosity. Okay, so it's just the three crosses: the mutable cross, arousing impact; the fixed cross, suffering and purging; the cardinal cross, attunement with God, or your godhood, approaching the steps of initiation.
Can you do that again, please?
Which one?
Mars and Capricorn and Venus and Pisces.
Okay, Saturn in Libra demonstrates the qualities of justice.
Mm-hmm.
Mars in Capricorn demonstrates the qualities of control. Venus in Pisces demonstrates the qualities of compassion. And Jupiter in Cancer demonstrates the quality of generosity. Okay? Okay? So, there's one more thing I want to read here.
Sister Myra,
yes.
Can you get back there?
Yeah, where's that available?
Now, see, I don't know if this is you remember the bookstore, what is that, the one with that Ansley, oh yeah, the Sphinx. This is where I got this. And I was just digging through, it was on a bottom shelf, and I was just digging, looking through, and I found this, and I think it was only one of these when I found it. So I don't know, where this would, where we could find this at anymore. But what I could do is start making some copies of it, because it's very deep. Because even after they go on to talk about the rays. See, so, and they describe the 7 rays. So this is some very, very deep,
They don't have Aries in there, right?
They have what?
Aries.
Aries.
We did do last week.
Well, yeah, they go on. Aries is mentioned in here more under the signs of the rays. When they start, applying the rays to the signs, they talk about Aries then. Here's one that says the 4th ray, they equate Aries with the 4th ray. And they call the 4th ray people are what the Tibetan calls the artists. Often they have not much art in them, but they do have the quality of harmonizing. The 4th ray egos born under the signs of Virgos, Aries are often precipitated into lives where they have to face great difficulties and clean them up. Whether it's a housewife or a politician. It says Roosevelt, Truman, Kennedy all had 4th ray egos, and they inherit very great difficulties which they had to straighten out. If you are a 4th ray ego, you will always find yourself having to clean up a mess. See? You know, and I have that because my rising sign is Aries. My signature is Aries. In other words, when you add all the components of the modes and all the components of the elements, I have a predominance of fire in the elements, and I have a predominance of cardinal in the modes. So the cardinal fire sign is Aries. So that's my signature. That's my signature. I'm an Aries signature. Then I have an Aries rising. I have Aries Jupiter. So I have a lot of Aries energy. And, you know, so I know what they mean about cleaning up messes. That's been my life too, cleaning up messes. You know what I'm saying? So they mention it in that sense, you know, more. But, you know. This last little piece I want to read you, it's from some material that came off the internet. My daughter-in-law, she's a whiz, she's a master at getting stuff off the internet. You just don't know where she comes up with this stuff from. This is called the Book of the Seniors, you know. And it talks about the adepts of will. I mean, it is so deep. I'm not even going to go there to where, but I just wanted to impress upon you this part. It says, the story presented by the seniors is a history of the spiritual development of man on earth as viewed by the being who is the life of the earth and those appointed to direct that development. The main characters are those beings whose actions are the root of the mythology of the gods Set and Horus. Okay? Getting back to that Saturn, that Set, the first sun, our energy, you know, the Christ energy that's getting ready to return. Okay? Set and Horus. And the plot describes their conflict as they contended for control of man's evolution over 80 million years. With the earlier works in this series, it also presents a reconstruction of the original myths of Set from before the time when priests of Horus and Osiris demolished his temples and turned him into a devil god for their own forms of religion. Isn't that going back to what we've been talking about? Saturn, you know, that's who they made the devil, Satan. That is our energy. I mean, who can miss the... See?
Gotcha.
That's deep.
Because we are Satan. We are the devils of this world. We're going to destroy this world. It's unrighteous.
Bring it down.
And we're going to bring in righteousness. That means we are the devils. We are the antichrist of this world. Just like they are our antichrist. Okay? So when they tell you about Satan, they're talking about us. You know, but we're going to break through. We're going to stop going and living on a literal level, and we're going to go into the spiritual significance of that. Stature. And I've told you, I've read this book here, this deep book. We went into the Great Mother and how black she was, you know, and how her first son was Set, who later became known as the planetary Saturn, who was the ruler of the energy of Capricorn, who was the supreme energy, okay? And this is the energy that we are, that is our energy. And this is the energy that we have to tap into now because it's time for us to be supreme again, okay? So, it says, the energies of the sign of Aquarius are vastly different from the energies of the previous aeon, which was under the sign of Pisces, okay? Because we're talking spiritual now, so we're going in a reverse rotation. Normally we would go from Pisces to Aries, to Taurus, to Gemini, but now we're talking spiritual, so we're reversing that. We're going from Pisces to Aquarius, okay? So, that it says, the Piscean age was characterized by highly structured, imposed systems of religion and magic presented through the work of rigid, hierarchical, here, I can't pronounce this word, but you know, I'm going to put it up here so you'll know what I'm talking about.
Words.
You know me, I'll mess it up every time. Yeah.
Hierarchy.
Yeah, hierarchy, that's it.
Hierarchy.
Hierarchical, that's how they got it, hierarchical. Yeah, there we go.
Hierarchical.
Yes. It says, let me see, where am I? Organizations. In that age, the individual was expected to subordinate himself to the work and symbolism of the group and to accept what was given to him on faith. Man was seen as being at the bottom of the spiritual hierarchy and was therefore subordinate to all of the spiritual forces. He could only contact them through faith and supplication, and in effect begging them for a bit of wisdom. See? The Aquarian energies, on the other hand, are extremely individualistic. The ruling planet Uranus and the exalted planet Mercury show that in this new time, individuals can achieve magical and spiritual success entirely through their own efforts, without the aid of any outside force. The results of their work will be proportional to the effort they put into it. Where Mercury, knowledge, was in its detriment in Pisces, here it is at its height. Thus knowing and self-will and not submission and faith are now to be the key to initiation. Okay? Under the Aquarian energies, each man contributes to the group work by doing his own work and discovering his own will without reference to the work of others. The links between the work of one person and another will come naturally as a consequence of the internal connections that exist between all things, and not as an externally imposed set of formulas or rules. Okay? Like the religion. Okay? The connections mentioned above are one example of this principle. No doubt many other examples will arise in coming years. Following this principle, I would like to encourage the reader to examine this work and all such works with a critical eye, to not accept it as literal truth and not accept it as symbolic truth unless it fits your own view of the spirit. Okay? Perhaps another way is better for you. There is more than enough room for any number of views. And that's what I've been telling you. And this is as a matter of fact, in the last week here, in our syllabus here, in our agenda, was the last week, what are we focusing on? Let your spirit be your guide. You know, I've been standing up here for these 14 weeks, and I've been telling you about how to set up your altar, what energies to identify with, how you can look at astrology and understand what those energies are doing. You know, looking at the universe as our time clock, you know. And I've been telling you, giving you all the tools, how to set up your altars, how to bring in the elements, you know, the candles, you know. I've been describing your rituals. I've been telling you how we have been programmed to fear doing what our ancestors did, and they reigned, you know, for thousands of years doing what they did. But now they've come out and told us, Johnny come latelys has come and told us, oh, don't do that. That's blasphemous. You know, you're being pagan. You know, they're telling us not to do what our ancestors did because they're trying to keep us trapped. Okay? So I've told you how they are using rituals. You know, they are using rituals to and keep their empowerment going because they know they're on their way out, you know. But so they're trying to hang on by enacting their rituals. At the same time, they're turning us against them. But they have to use us to do their rituals because, like I said, we have the melanin, right? This is what gives us the fluidity with these forces of the universe. The melanin is what the black holes is made of, okay? So they can't access that. So that's why they have to put us up there. That's why they had to have Toni Braxton up there on the Mandela, you know, because they had the great mother rising up out of the water, you know, but they had to have this black feminine energy to make it work. You know, the Mandela represents the universe. So why else do you think they have this black woman going to stand up there and represent, you know, the power of the universe? Because they know that the ritual would not have worked without her, you know, inputting her energy. The same as with the Olympics. That was nothing but a huge ritual. They admitted that. Zeus would have been proud, they said. All in the paper, on the TV. Zeus would have been proud. That was their ritual to Zeus. Yeah, they had to get, yeah, they said it on TV and they said it in the paper, you know. But they had to get Muhammad Ali. You know, they kept it such a big secret. Who's going to be the torch? Who's going to light the torch? They had to use the champion, the heavyweight black champion, the greatest of all.
That's right.
To enact their ritual. See? So this is what I'm saying, you know, while we are so busy and we're still worshiping Zeus when we worship Jesus. And that's what they got most of us doing. Hey, Zeus, Jesus, can you not miss the similarity there? Can you not miss, you know, we're talking the same thing. What is it? Zeus. We're not talking the same thing here.
Now the big ritual. This is an election year. You say you follow football.
Yes.
What has the Washington Redskins did?
Oh.
They got all these big time black.
Yeah, I've been hearing that.
See?
Yeah.
Black what?
Players.
All these big time black players. This is election year, so they need all that energy
Yes.
for the DC area.
Everything
Oh,
is
you're right.
You see
Everything is a ritual.
They got Bruce Smith. They got Sanders. They just signed my man. He's been playing almost 20 years. The back, defensive back. Come on, Texas A&M. He's been there his whole career. They're getting all these. It's like a surplus.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when they do start playing football, Washington. Remember back in the early '80s, the stadium was packed with us.
Right.
They're coming back.
They're coming back. Right. That's right. You know.
They got even Randall Cunningham.
Right.
So they know what they're doing.
As we continue to, and most of us are, as we continue to put our energy towards Jesus, we're actually putting our energy towards Zeus. We're actually contributing to our own oppression because we're empowering them. Okay? We're empowering them. You know, so as long as we keep doing that, you know, because like I said, we are the creators. So where we put our energy is where we create. They understand this. That's the reason why they have given us all this, fed us all this misconception, you know, so that we be blinded to the truth of who we're actually worshiping when you're worshiping Jesus, you know. And anything done in Atlanta, you guys, is extra significant because this is the city of metamorphosis. It really does represent Atlantis. They understand that also. That's why they had the Olympics here. That's why they had the Super Bowl here. That's why they had the heavyweight champion of the world here. You know, that's why that they had to win that Super Bowl. Okay? Because that was the Titans, who is the energy of the great mother, Set. You know, our energy. That's who Titans playing the realms. Okay? So they did not want to demonstrate the metamorphosis in going into the new millennium. They did not want to demonstrate that with the power going into the hands of the Titans, or in essence the black people. See, and see, everything happens for a reason. That's why it was a black quarterback versus the white quarterback. The black quarterback was the Titans quarterback, which represents the black energy. See, and they did not need to have the metamorphosis that symbolized, even symbol. Because everything is about what is being symbolized, okay? You know, we got to come up out of this literal physical world. It's what's symbolic, okay? And so that to them was too symbolic of the reign, of the power going back into the hands of, you know, into the black energy or the black power, see? Yep. So that's the reason why they had to do that ritual. And that's the reason why it was so important to them because it was in Atlanta, okay? This is the city representing the metamorphosis, okay? This is it. I call it Armageddon land. You turn Atlanta, you turn the world, you know? You turn Atlanta, you turn the world. See, this is the turning point here, you know? That's why a lot of people have been drawn here, you know, because we have the deadest people here. I'm sorry to say, but we have the deadest people here. That's why when you turn Atlanta, you can turn the world. The rest of the world will come easy.
When you say dead, you mean spiritual?
Spiritually,
Yeah.
spiritually dead. Yeah.
What was the significance of the execution last night?
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's very significant because it was a black man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then he went through and he proclaimed his innocence. It's kind of reminds me of, you guys saw that movie, what was that movie?
Green Room.
No, this was the Seventh Seal. Y'all remember the Seventh Seal? And you remember one of the things that had to happen? The seventh sign was that they had to execute a marker.
Yeah.
You remember? So I don't know, you know, but when I looked at that, that's what came to my mind. Okay?
He left with one eye open and one eye closed.
And it said he fought every step of the way.
Significant. That's something significant.
It's symbolic.
Symbolic.
Yeah,
That's right.
it's symbolic of them. Because see, this is what time it is. They're out to take us out.
Right.
You know, and that was symbolized in one man. But his fight was very symbolic because that symbolizes we are ready to fight.
That's right.
You know, we're not going to win this physical battle against them. But we are going to win the spiritual battle. And ever since that August 11th fixed cross in the sky, that reversal, everything has taken a spiritual dominance. So it means that we are in a spiritual fight now. We have spiritual powers. We have this is a spiritual war now. We'll win that one. We'll win that one. So that's what was demonstrated by that execution. It was the fact that they're trying to take us out, which we know they are. They took out this one man that symbolized they're trying to take us out as a people. He's fighting it. He's fighting it, okay? They may have succeeded on a physical level, you know, but if we look at this on a spiritual level and what it symbolizes, they won't win the spiritual battle, you know? They won't win the spiritual battle. So I think that's what that you know, to me, that's what it indicated, you know? But, you know, as I was getting back to, and see, what did it hit you? When you first saw it, what was the first thing on your mind? See? That's when your spirit is giving you the understanding.
Right,
when you start rationalizing and reasoning, then you're going back to the physical. So take your first instinct, your first thought, and that first thought is your spirit. That's when your spirit is cluing you into what is really happening. Okay, so you know, so when you asked me that, I just went back to my first thought, and that's what came to my mind. And once that came to my mind, then I was able to start, you know, breaking down the significance of what it really meant. See?
But also, sister, I also look at it as they could try to feed off of our emotions, get us to
Oh, absolutely, because they're in a big campaign to divert us. They know how emotional we are. You know what I'm saying? And remember, this is what I was reading in this cardinal cross. Our emotions, our desires is what keeps us grounded. We have to supersede that. We have to be able to, if it's going to be a spiritual thing, it's not a personal thing. Which means we're not cultivating our personal desires. We're thinking about what's good for the whole. You know, we're going into the opposite. What's good for the bigger picture. See, so anytime you let your emotions take you, then that's a personal thing. Then you're cultivating that area. You're feeding into that. And they know what emotional creatures we are, so they'll always throw some emotional tidbits to get us to bite over there, because evidently there's something going on over here that they don't want us to see. So they'll know exactly what to throw out there, so we get all worked up over that, when the bigger thing is really happening, you know, on the other side, see. So, yeah, but see, they're using a combination, see. They understand and they're at their detriment. So they're pulling in everything they know they can use to try to keep us grounded, trapped, you know. They know their ship is going down, you know, and they want us to go down with them, see. And because they rather die than to admit and fall down and pay homage to who we are. That's right. They know who we are. They know who we are, but they will die before they admit it. And so to bring us down with them is to them a validation that we're not who they know we are. In other words, we're all in this together.
They know that they leave and they want to bring us along.
Yeah, see, and that's why you got all these movies. Every time you see these meteors coming to destroy the world, these dinosaurs, that meteor, anything that represents antiquity is up there. They're talking about us, the dinosaurs, the comets, the meteors. Anything that represents antiquity is talking about us. They cloak it. They put the truth in the movies, but they veil it. You know, they veil it so that we don't understand it. So anytime you see the meteor or Godzilla, whatever, that's representing us coming back to take over the control and the reign of this world, see. And so what they'll do is they'll have us all band together. They got this black president, you know, saying, we're all in this together. Let's band in love and fight this force that's coming to destroy this world, see. They're meaning, let's destroy this, you know, the return of this Christ energy, you know. Let's fight that. Even that's in the scriptures, how they band together to fight up against God when he comes, you know. So it's all a ploy, you know. It's all to keep us thinking that we're all the same. We're all in this together, so that we will band and we will fight against these people that are coming, or whatever, that's coming to destroy this world, when that's going to be us. And so they don't want us to, you know, so they don't want us to understand or to believe that, you know, because then they want us to think we're all in the same boat, and that they have always, you know, been on top of things because they've been by their own. Because there is a part in the scripture, I think I might have quoted it once before, where it talked about how they were talking about, where it was saying in the scripture that those that oppressed us would be punished. And they said, why would they be punished? It said they will be punished because they lifted themselves up and said, I did this by my own might and by my own cunning. Okay?
Yeah.
And then it says, does a rod lift itself up against its master? Have you ever wondered what that meant? You know? It says that these people lifted themselves up and said, I'm going to, you know, I oppressed these people because I was I had so much power, and I had so much smarts and intelligence and wisdom that I was able to oppress these people. And it says that's why you're going to find your fall. You think you did this by your own cunning, by your own might, when actually you were nothing but a rod. You know, does a rod lift itself up against its master? So who's the master? Us, see. And that's nothing but a rod. They're nothing but a rod. They're nothing but something that was there to get us to discover who we are. Discover our power. You know, that's all part of this alchemy process we've been talking about. You know? So, you know, so it's and so my focus is still supposed to be, let your spirit be your guide. Right. I've given you the information, I've given you the tools, I've given you, you know, how we should be redefining our reality so that we can create our own reality. So the final thing, the final stage is to let your spirit be your guide. You know, no one can tell you that. That's why religion is failing, because it's trying to tell a group of people how to be spiritual. Only your spirit can do that. And that comes from within, you know. So you have to go on, just like I was reading in the newsletter. We're creating, when we set up these rituals, what are we producing? We're producing our own universe. We're bringing those elements together. Earth, the fire, the earth, the air, and the water. This is the foundation. It started off saying the 5 elements are one of the most important concepts in magic. You know, it could be said that everything in creation is composed of one or more of these elements in combination. See? So we are, and it says right down here, here it is, it says, whenever you set a magical space or do magical work evoking the 5 elements, it is an important part of setting up the space, because by doing that, you are constructing a miniature universe that is intimately connected to all the planes and levels of reality. See? So when you're doing your rituals, you're setting up your own universe. See? That's why you need your spirit to guide you on that. It will best tell you how to access the information. It will best tell you when, you know, to do what you need to do. It'll stop you from doing what you don't need to be doing, but we haven't been listening to it. It's been there all along, but we've been preoccupied with the physical. The physical is the opposite of the spiritual, and we're putting our energy toward the physical, then we're giving away our power. See, and so if we're not, if we so busy trying to do our physical works, and our spirit, remember when I was telling you about Pandora's box and how they didn't want us to look into Pandora's box, because that's ours to go in and delve into the occult and find out all the tools that we have, you know, at our disposal, and how we will run around there trying to do what we want to do, and the spirit will try to signal us and tell us, you know, to change our course. So we'll throw it back in Pandora's box. I don't want to hear that. You know, that's just a coincidence, or it don't mean nothing, you know. And then when we get into trouble, oh, why me, God? Why this happened to me? When you are God, you created this reality. That's right. You know, so, but you didn't want to listen to your spirit when it was trying to tell you what you needed to hear, because you wanted to do your physical work. So it's been telling us all along, but we've been, you know, pushing it back. We've been ignoring it, and then we've been ending up in trouble. But now the spirit, with the dominance of the spiritual energy, it's not going to be ignored anymore. Even those who want to be in denial, even those who don't even want to claim what is happening here, cannot ignore all the things that are manifesting in front of their eyes now. They're hearing things now. They're seeing things now. They're feeling things now like they never have before. Because these things are opening up now. The spiritual world is taking a dominance, and the physical is taking a back seat. That's what we're seeing. The degradation, the breakdown of the physical world, because it has to give way to the spiritual. And so it has to be broken down so that we can be rebirthed at a higher level. So we can step into our godhood and start, you know, bringing Mother Earth, healing Mother Earth, because that's our responsibility. That's as personal as it gets. You know, our personal responsibility to heal Mother Earth.
Let me ask you something. That's right. We're at the point where we're supposed to be on a spiritual level, the whole entire earth. Does that mean that these people that put us in this situation are going to be at that level as well?
Oh no, they can't. They can't.
That.
See, they're going. They see, like I said, they are the physical people, and see, their energy is going in opposition to the dominant energy now. See, that rotation, that fixed cross signal, the change, rotation change, the reversal from the physical to the spiritual. So now anything going against the grain of the spiritual is feeling that friction. That's why they're getting the die out. Yeah, they're gonna start. You see, everything is breaking down. See, that's in the breaking down process. We're in a transformation, a crucifixion process. See? So those things, those physical things, you know, are, the more you hang on to them, the more you are going to feel the friction, the wear and tear of going against the grain of the dominant energy now. So you're either going to adapt, or you're going to
die and leave the planet.
That's right. You're just going to, you know,
Check out.
Disintegration process. So everything is going to, you know, so, and there is this one story that's in the Bible about this, they talk about Jesus, you know, and he walks through, and this woman, I guess she had been bleeding or something, and she was supposed to be the Sumerian woman or something like that. And so she ends up and she touches the robe, and she is healed, and he says, "Who is that touched my robe?" And so they brought her forth, and she was like, he says, "Why should I help you?" He said, "Why should I give what is meat for the children to the dogs?" You know. So, and she goes on to say, even the dog can eat the crumbs of the master's table. And because she acknowledged this, he granted her and he healed her. So to me, I'm going to tell you what that meant to me. This represents the white folks. Trying to catch hold to our Christ energy. You know, trying to get healed through our Christ energy. And us saying, "Oh, but you're dog, you know, you're dog meat, you know. This is for, you know, for us, you know." But because she was willing to acknowledge our godhood, our supremeness, she was allowed to be healed. How many of them do you think want to do that, though?
20.
So in other words, that's the only way. That's the only way they're going to even be able to, you know, partake is by acknowledging who we are. And they're fighting that so tough right now, you know good and well, they're not going to do that. I don't know. You might as well kiss them goodbye. You know, 'cause they're out of here. The more we come to recognition, you know, and the more we, like Bobby was talking about the other night, and I've talked about in here, I called it the pot of indignation. I say when, because, and I came up with this when we had that John Rocker thing, and you had Andrew Young coming out saying, Andrew Young was like, "Well, I've heard black people say bad things about white folks, you know, and they feel they're within their rights to do it, so I guess white folks have the right to feel they're in their rights to say bad things about us. But we should be able to forgive them just like they can forgive us, you know." And I'm thinking, oh, okay, so you're equating their hatred of us with what we feel about them. They don't even, they're apples and oranges, because what we feel is righteous indignation. You know, we have a right to be indignant. And as I was telling you, every time we feel that righteous indignation, it goes into, if you can imagine this bubbling, boiling pot, you know, and every time one of us get righteously indignant, we're adding to that bubbling, boiling pot, you know. And it's nothing they can do to turn, because how long has this pot been seething and bubbling and boiling?
6,000 years.
6,000 years. So every time and this is one of the reasons why they will divert us and keep us dead to our emotions. This is why Andy Young and Hank Aaron can come out and say, well, he can call you whatever he want to call you. It shouldn't bother you. Because they don't want us contributing to that pot of righteous indignation. You know, they want us to be doormats and accept that as our fate in life. You understand? You know, so they're going to put that message out there. Oh, it's okay. You know, he can say what he wants. He's a good guy still. You know, don't get upset about that. You know? So in other words, we're accepting. We're supposed to accept that. And each time we accept that, which our people on the masses have been programmed to do,
First game of the season.
we're not contributing to that pot of righteous indignation. And this is what it's going to take to bring this apocalypse on. We want the apocalypse to come. You know. We want it to come. So, you know, everything, you know, like we said, we're in the matrix. It's all, the physical world is nothing but an illusion. It's a reality that someone has defined for us. And now is the time to break out of that. Now is the time to supersede that reality and create our own reality, because we are the creators. And wherever we put our creative energy at, that's what we're going to create. And it is time for us to step up into our rightful reign and rule. That's the Leo energy. That's what identifies us as the creative energy of the universe. The children of the creative energy of the universe. The royal rulers.
Does it take another 6,000 years for us to do this?
Heck no! As a matter of fact, just like I said, we're on the second leg of the cardinal cross now. In other words, our rebuilding phase has already begun. See? And all we have to do at this point is, if you want it to take another 6,000 years, it will. You know, if we want it. Just like I read in my message here. And it says, as I mentioned in our greetings to the ancestors, this is the energy to get in touch with our antiquity. Oh, no, it was that I was talking about the readings I've been doing. I've been doing a lot of readings these days, and most of my clients already have received the message of their destiny. They already know what their destiny is. And they are only amazed that I'm pointing it out to them as a message from the cosmos, okay? They're only saying, what? That's in there? I knew that. You know, and so I'm asking, so what are we waiting for? We already know what our destiny is. We already know what we should be doing on a spiritual level. The only reason we're waiting and we're not activating it is because we're still not sure. And we're still a little afraid. And we feel guilty because we're going against what our family has said. You know, so there's the guilt. Remember I read the Indian where he talked about the 3 things that are keeping us grounded. He was talking about how powerful we are born, and as society starts putting its structure, it's creating these dams that's blocking up our energy, our spiritual flow, and it's like every time, you know, and the way to push those dams aside is to express your power, to express the confidence in who you are, and push those, you know, push those dams aside. He said the 3 things: fear, doubt, and guilt. Those are the 3 things holding us grounded and trapped from expressing our power. He says, and the thing that we have to do is access our own spirit, you know, to examine our own spirit to understand what works for us. And what works for us through our spiritual inclinations is what path we should follow. And we should stop letting guilt, fear, and doubt, you know. Because once we start acknowledging this, you know, then we're going to have some doubt. And if we go up there tentative, we're not going up there as rulers. We're not giving the commands as we should be giving them. See? So it's not going to work. So that's when you're expressing your doubts, you know, or your fears that you're not going to succeed, then you're going to keep yourself from succeeding. So you have to approach this with confidence, with the knowledge of who you are. And what you set out to do, you know that it's going to happen. You know, when I sent the energies to go heal my son way over there in Omaha, Nebraska, you know, I wasn't playing. I was like, you go over there and make him feel my presence and heal him. And the doctors came to him the next day and they were amazed. They were like, what happened? That's right. We got up in there and everything had fell back into place. My sister said, I haven't seen him look this good since he was in junior high school. You know, I didn't have the money to catch a flight to go over there and see about my son as he was going into surgery, so I sent the energies. And I did not ask them. You know, this was too important to me. This was too important to me. It was like, oh no, I'm not taking no for an answer here. You know, I'm giving you the tools. I'm activating this, you know, this energy to go take care of what I need taken care of. And that's what it did. See. So if I had money, if I had to look toward the God money, I would have flew over there, been sitting at his side, and would not have helped him the way I was able to help him by sending my the energies to do it. See? And what did I do? I appealed to the energy of the great mother. Okay? You understand what it is, because this was a mother. This was a mother thing that I was trying to do. Then I appealed to the energy of the mother. You know, and, you know, her understanding what I'm feeling, you know, that all the easier activated, you know. And what did I do? I took my literal tears and put them to the flame of the candle. This is what I mean by letting your spirit be your guide. You don't think about it. All of a sudden you're doing, you know. But remember to put those elements together. Always put those elements together. And remember, a circle is important. Find a way to create a circle. Remember to cleanse yourself. And it so happened, and I had just been reading up on the color green, which is the color of healing. I would just see, your spirit knows what's coming. And if you, and I had my green candle sitting there. I had on a green gown that he had sent me for Mother's Day. When I got the phone call. So, you know, the spirit knew this was coming.
There's no coincidence.
And it had me, and I was tuned up enough, not knowing, to follow the guidance of my spirit. The phone call came in, all I had to do was hang up and go to work. You understand? So, this is what I mean by letting your spirit be your guide. Because it will inform you. When you feel those taps on you.
So basically, we have the power to transcend walls.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Did our ancestors have that power?
Yes.
Did our ancestors have that power? Whatever powers our ancestors have, we have. We are the ancestors. Okay? They're coming back through us. So if they had the power, we got the power. We just don't know it. We just don't believe in it. You know, we just haven't, we've been preoccupied. You know. So whatever powers they have, we got. You know. So all we have to do is believe in that. We do have to cleanse. We have to cleanse ourselves of, you know, unclean foods, and, you know, we do need to be fasting, especially when it's time when you want to do a ritual. And the more important the ritual, the more days you want to have a fast, okay? Because that gives you easier access. See, that gives the spirits easier access when we're cleansed, you know. But the biggest cleansing process will be coming through our minds. We have to cleanse what it is that we believed in. We have to cleanse ourselves, what we've been programmed to believe, you know, regarding the matrix. See? Yes.
You know, to be honest, it seems like the more I cleanse, I understand that hate and love are two powerful, or one and the same thing. You know, one man's hate is another person's love. You know, and I heard a lot of talk about, you know, people saying they tell us to love, we need to be hate. And I don't believe there's anything generic for any one person. It has to do with the reason why you're here, the purpose. And so I say that everybody should do what they feel to do. But I think the part that's so crucial right now is to understand that this is all illusion.
Absolutely.
And I'm feeling in my spirit that it doesn't do me any good. It doesn't give me any energy to say they and us. Because we're all illusion. We're closest to the reality of the illusion. But it's all illusion. And every part of the illusion is needed in order for the reality to be real. And I think just understanding that in my psyche helps me to go forward and do whatever I do out of love. Whether it's to kill white folks, whether to do whatever, but I can do it with the right perspective. You so whatever you do, it's your intentions that make it right. So if you're doing it and if you have intentions of they and us, it's good fire for some people for a certain time. But I'm realizing that my fire, my energy is the energy of love that helps me move forward. But my idea of love is not the idea that they give me. You understand? Or they, so-called they, or the idea that my own people give me, or the idea of hate that my own people give me. It's one that comes from within me. And you have to understand your intent before you do whatever you do. Because if you don't understand intent, then you'll look at this thing and think that this is reality, or this isn't the reality. And I think that's it.
And that's why in last week's lesson I talked about that. I talked about we have to understand what is motivating us. You know, when we end up doing these rituals or trying to activate the energy and things don't seem to be working and we begin to wonder why, then we have to understand that the reason it didn't work is because our motivation probably was not sound, see. We're probably coming from a physical perspective, and we're trying to enact spiritual principles from a physical, but we didn't recognize that. Or we get our answer, but we don't get it, because it happens on a spiritual level, and we don't understand that we've gotten it. Remember when I talked about the physical car versus the spiritual vehicle? See? So this is what I'm talking about. I'm saying that sometimes you get your answer, but it's on a spiritual level, and you just haven't recognized it. You know, you haven't recognized it. So you have to understand what is really motivating. And that's why I mentioned the fact that our hearts will be weighed against the weight of that of a feather. You know, before we will be able to enact these things, because it's got to be cleansed, it's got to be motivated from the right perspective, else it's not going to happen.
It has to be your time.
Yes, it has to be, and you know, but you know, as I made this a topic of this last lesson, let your spirit be your guide. I can't say that no more than I can say, you know, and take your instinct, because they're signaling us left and right. They're signaling us every minute, every second, and every time, especially whenever you raise your vibration level. Whenever you raise your vibration level, you're going to see and hear. I told you, I have a vortex in the back of my house, okay? And it's nothing but an energy field. And I mean, I can hear all kind of things. I can sense, I can feel, you know, and I can tell when the energies are rolled, you know, are up. You know, I actually heard ceremonies out there. Wow. You know, but you have to, and nobody else hears it. I go outside and go like, it's so loud. Somebody else has got to be hearing this. You know, I took my roommate. I was like, can you hear this? You know, but she can see things. I can't see things, but she can see. She can see them, and I can hear them. So we came together, and we're like, she's looking out the windows, telling me what she sees, and I'm telling her what I hear. And that's what we have to do. That's why I read about the Aquarian energy.